So I've come to realize that filming while living in the city is actually a quite hard thing to do. It's the last day of the winter market today and there's so much noise going out, so I'm very sorry if you can hear this all on this video. Hello beautiful people of the internet. So, hi, how's it going? I feel like I haven't filmed in ages. So you've seen the title of the video, you've clicked on it. This video is again going to be me explaining why I changed some stuff. So I don't know if you noticed, but I also changed some other things such as my YouTuber name, my social medias, all that jazz. Because, well, I recently went through some very big changes. I don't know if you've seen last week's video, but in that video I kind of explained a little bit more about how 2019 has kind of changed me a lot. Now, I'm not going to go into too much details about that. That's why I made last week's video, so if you want to watch that, feel free to do that. I will probably link it. I think this is the right card, but I'm not sure. I'm going to link it somewhere up here as well if you want to watch that too. But the point is that I realized and discovered a lot of things about myself, and that's why I decided to change a lot of stuff on my YouTube channel again. Now, if you've been here from the very beginning, then you know that I go through these changes quite regularly. The first real YouTube name that I had was Sarah Monster. Then I changed it because somebody else had a very, very similar name and they had a lot more subscribers than I did. So I changed it to Sarah Spark because this YouTube channel was my little spark and I really love doing this. This is a way for me to get things off my chest and I really like that. So that's how that came to be. But like I said last year, I actually discovered myself a little bit more and I've been asking myself a lot of questions about my gender identity. Tricky subject to talk about. I've been feeling quite unsure about how I feel as a person, and I've been thinking a lot about it, and I have realized that I do not fit into a category. Once again, if I have to explain it like very simple, you have two genders, right? Two genders. So you have, let's say, female on this side and male on this side. And then you have somewhere in the middle something that's called non-binary. And being non-binary means that you don't identify with either one of the two genders. Now, what I also learned is that gender is on a spectrum. So that means that you can be anywhere in between this line of female and male and non-binary and female, or non-binary and male. And I've given it a lot of thought and I discovered that I might not identify as completely female. Let me elaborate a little bit because this is really weird even for me to talk about. Like, I think this is one of the first times that I'm actually explaining this to someone, so this feels quite weird. But basically I've had troubles with being seen as female for a really long time now. I don't think it used to be there when I was a kid because I used to wear a lot of pink and my hair was really long and I used to play with Barbies and all that jazz. But as I grew older, I always felt like I was not like the other girls, and that wasn't just because I was like this cool emo kid who was trying to be different. It was more because I just felt like all these girly things didn't really match me. And even now that I am a full-ass grown woman, I still feel like I'm not really feminine in a lot of things that I do, which again is very relative because like some things can be seen as feminine for some people and some things can not be seen as feminine for other people. Like, everything's on a spectrum. I'm very well aware of that. But for me personally, I always felt lacking. Like, I don't know if you've seen it, but I prefer the gender neutral style of clothing. I like things that are non-binary, and a lot of times I used to call it being androgynous, but I feel like I don't really fit being androgynous either. So for a really long time I've been thinking about what it was that I liked, why I liked it, all that stuff, and then I realized that I just don't really feel completely female. But then to call myself non-binary is also not really correct, but then to call myself male, I feel like the biggest disconnection of that. So I would not say that I feel like a male at all, which is why I feel like non-binary also doesn't really fit me. So if, again, we look at it from a spectrum, if you have female here and non-binary here, I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I've been thinking about that for such a long time because I felt like I wasn't non-binary enough to be called non-binary, but then on the other hand, I also didn't feel female enough to be called a female or a she or a her. So I've been struggling with that for quite some time now, and I've kind of taken peace with that. I've kind of taken peace with the fact that I don't feel female, but also not non-binary and also not male. I'm okay with just being a person and just a human and just a little being, just a little human being. So that's why I wanted to also change my name, my username, my name on socials, all that stuff. The fact that for me Sarah is a very, very feminine name, and that I did not feel feminine enough to be carrying that name just made me feel very disconnected from it. So I did a little experiment at my workplace around June, I think it was, and I asked some of my co-workers to start calling me a different name. I knew that since I have a lot of non-binary friends in there, a lot of them are also queer and they're very open-minded about those kinds of things. One night when we were going for dinner, I asked them to start calling me a different name, and that name was Jamie. And the reason why I started calling myself Jamie is because it's a name that I've always really loved, and secondly, it's very neutral. I still feel like it fits me a lot better. It's a name that I've been using actually long before I started calling myself that. Yeah, it's just a name that I've been wanting to use for a really long time, but I felt a bit awkward about it, so I just asked them to try it out, and that was one of the happiest nights of my life. I've never felt so accepted and so loved in the night that they started calling me Jamie, and I realized that I really liked being called Jamie, so I changed the name to Jamie. Not officially, because I know that people like my mom and especially my brother, they're not really into that kind of stuff. Like, they don't have those kinds of people around them, so I guess it's a lot more difficult for them to understand where I'm coming from. But the people I did tell this to, so I told a few friends and my colleagues and everybody I told it to this far have been so supportive of it and understanding, and actually started calling me Jamie instead of Sarah, although I know that it has to be quite different because I've lived 24 years of my life being called Sarah, and now I suddenly changed to Jamie. I understand that it's a big difference, like it's a big thing to get used to, but a lot of them just went with it. Some of them asked for a bit of explanation, and then I explained it, and they were like, okay, that's cool, and then they just went with it. So the last half year I've been experimenting with the name, I've been carrying it as my own, and I decided that I really liked it and that I wanted to keep continuing that way. So I still want to be called Jamie. Now, as for my gender identity, again, like I said, I've completely taken peace with not having to label myself. If people ask me what my pronouns are, I usually say she, her, or they, them. I'm okay with both of them. So I'm not offended if you call me she or her or something like that. It's just, please don't call me Sarah anymore. I really don't like that name. So yeah, needless to say, being called Jamie now, Sarah Spark didn't really fit anymore. So I've given some thoughts to how I'd like to name my channel, and this is like the hardest part of like branding and YouTube. Choosing a name that first of all no one has, and secondly that actually works for you. So I've been thinking about it a really long time, and I've decided to go for April Slumbers. It's a good thing to start with, and eventually if I want to change again, I mean, I've changed it 3 times so far. I mean, I can always change it again if I really want to. Let's just hope that it stays this way for a while, because I'm tired of changing. I'm really tired of changing. Yeah, I've decided to go for April Slumbers. April Slumbers is a name that I've also used in the past. I used it for some things online when I didn't really want to tell people that my name was Sarah, or that I didn't want to link it to Sarah Spark or something like that, and I decided that I really liked the name, so I'm going to start calling this YouTube channel that name. April Slumbers is also something that really fits me, I think, because April is the month that I was born in, first of all, and the slumber part is also like a reference, I guess, to healing and to getting better. I have a lovely cocktail of mental illnesses, which is also super fun. One of them being the realization, which makes me feel like I'm in a dreamy state a lot of the time. Slumbers is a word that really matches that. First and for all, I just really like the way it sounds. I think slumbers has a really nice ring to it, but also being in a slumber means that you're in a weird state between sleeping and awake, which I felt like really matched that idea of growth and mental health and like, you know, getting on from that. Also, slumbers can be tied to the rain as well, and I really like the rain, so it just felt like it matched really well overall. So that's basically why I decided to change my name once again. So I've been hinting a little bit on social media, so changing my name from Sarah to Jamie, and some people have already asked me about it, but I felt like I needed to give a more in-depth explanation. So that's what this video is. I am very well aware that I sometimes sometimes live a little bit in a bubble. There's probably people who will not agree with this, and that's completely fine. All I'm asking of you is to respect my choice and to just call me Jamie from now on, please, because that would mean the world to me. So yeah, there you have the explanation of why I changed my channel name once again, and also a bit why I changed my own name. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it gave you a little bit more of a clear idea of why I did what I did, and I hope you understand me a little bit better as well now, because this is a huge step. Like, this is making me kind of uncomfortable because I'm very scared for the reactions, but I feel like it's the right thing to do. This is the beginning of a new chapter, of a new era, if you will, and I guess I just waited until the new year because I was a bit scared, but it's out there now, so yeah, there's no way back. So thanks again for watching. I hope it gave you some clearance, and I also hope it didn't really change your view about me too much, and I will hopefully see you again very soon. Bye.